one of the problems that you're facing now is that you have a total of 6,500 fully fit officers in support roles. And I'm not talking about officers who are on recuperative leave, or I'm talking fully fit.
Let me say something.
Fully fit, warranted officers. The figure is actually 6,579 warranted officers doing backroom jobs.
Right, which is. I mean, I don't know. I can't. The Commissioner may have more detail on that figure, but what I can certainly say is that your general point is right, and that's why, in the sense that there are plenty of officers, in my view, and I think in the Commissioner's view, who are in squads or backroom jobs of one kind or another, when they could well be doing more to help neighbourhood policing, and that's why the Commissioner launched a programme which we made much of during the election campaign, you will remember, to put 2,000 more officers into neighbourhood policing. And I think that's the right way to go. And many of those officers will be taken from the very kind of backroom jobs that you describe.
The reason they're doing the backroom jobs is that you don't have the civilian staff to do them, because you've got rid of the civilian staff. You've gone against ACPO advice on this, and you have de-civilianised.
Actually, from my memory, the Commissioner may correct me, my memory is that a recent study of police forces across the country showed that the Met was virtually out in front in terms of its civilianisation programme and its use of and its efficient use of resources in that way. I
think you'll find that you're actually 11% below budgeted strength on civilian staff, which means you've got 6,500 police officers doing backroom jobs.
Well, as I've just tried to explain, I think there's a good case for getting some of those police officers out of those backroom jobs and into frontline work. And I think
how are you going to do that when you don't have the civilian staff?
Well, I think the suggestion is, and this is something that certainly I've heard from Bernard and from others, is that the roles that these police officers are fulfilling in the specialist units of one kind or another are perhaps have been slightly left behind by history, and it's time to move on, time to reform, and time to get them out into frontline posts. And that's the nature of the change that they're engaged in.
So you will undertake to move these 6,579 officers out of those backroom jobs and onto the beat. Is that what you're promising? Or into jobs that fully warranted officers should be doing?
What I'm saying is there's potential to move, I think, substantial numbers, and I'm sure that the Commissioner will want to elaborate and say more about this, substantial numbers out of posts where perhaps their talents, their abilities are not being maximised to other frontline jobs.
But the point is, these officers cost you something like £20,000 a year more, each one of them. £20,000 a year more than civilian staff. And you've got 6,500 of them doing those jobs.
Yes, I think
you're wasting money.
I think perhaps the point you're missing, with great respect, is that it may be that the functions these officers are fulfilling do not need to be filled by civilian staff, but actually the officers could do more for bringing crime down in London in some other capacity.
Mr. Mayor, I think you're missing the point that you have allowed officers that ought to be out policing into call centres, into custody suites. They're not doing the jobs that they're trained for.
Well, that's not true, but I mean, if you remember Project Herald was there.
I'm very happy to give you all the figures I've got. In the past, Mr. Malthouse, your deputy, has told us, it's officers on recuperative duty and that sort of thing, but I actually have those figures as well. And the number of police officers on recuperative duty is 402, and the number of officers on restricted duties is 756. That comes to something over 1,100. That doesn't account for the 5,500 other officers who are doing backroom jobs.
Well, as I say, there's ample scope to liberate those officers from their backroom jobs into frontline policing, and I think that's the proposal.
Last year you made 900 civilian staff redundant at a cost of £50 million. you got rid of civilian staff and allowed police officers to take their jobs?
Well, my information is that there's scope to get officers out from behind their desks and onto the front line where the public want to see them, and that is exactly what we're doing through the programme of expanding neighbourhood policing by 2,000 officers. So I think that's what Londoners want to see. I think that people will already be pleased that, in spite of difficult circumstances, we've got more officers now on the streets of London than there were 4 years ago. We've been through the deepest recession of the 1920s, and yet we have.